They were the faces behind some of the most jaw-dropping restorations on TV, turning rusted junk into collectible gold right before our eyes. But after American Restoration suddenly swapped out its original cast, fans were left wondering, what really happened to Rick Dale and the rest of the crew? This is American Restoration stars and where they are now, a deep dive into their surprising new paths, the behind-the-scenes drama, and whether a comeback might still be on the table. Let's get into it. When American Restoration first aired on the History Channel back in 2010, it wasn't just another reality show. It was a time capsule brought to life. Led by Rick Dale and his crew at Rick's Restorations in Las Vegas, the show quickly earned a dedicated following. Fans tuned in weekly to watch forgotten Americana transformed into stunning, functional pieces of history. But just as fast as the show rose to fame, it seemed to vanish without warning. One season, you're watching Rick negotiate a classic Coke machine project. The next, he's nowhere to be found. So what actually happened? The most shocking twist came in Season 7, when the entire original cast was suddenly replaced. No warning, no farewell, just a brand new format with a rotating set of restoration experts from around the country. Longtime viewers were confused and, to be honest, kind of angry. Why would a hit show overhaul everything that made it successful in the first place? The truth is, there's more to this story than a simple network decision. Behind the scenes, there were rumors of internal tensions, creative differences, and even contract disputes. Some speculate the History Channel wanted to take the franchise in a new direction, capitalizing on the popularity of shows like Pawn Stars by turning American Restoration into a broader showcase of craftsmen from all walks of life. But in doing so, they erased the chemistry and charm of the original team, and fans noticed. So what happened to the cast we came to know and love? Where did Rick Dale go after his unexpected departure? What about Kelly, Tyler, and the ever-colorful Brettley? Did they fade into obscurity, or are they still building and restoring behind the scenes? The answers are surprising, and in some cases inspiring. In this video, we're diving deep into the lives of the original American Restoration stars. You'll find out who built new empires, who switched careers completely, and who quietly stepped away from the limelight. From unexpected business ventures to lifestyle reinventions, their stories go far beyond the TV screen. And if you think you already know what happened, think again. There are some details here that never made the headlines, including behind-the-scenes rumors, personal transformations, and even a few controversies that never got full closure. But before we get into all that, take a moment to think back. What drew you to the show in the first place? Was it the satisfying before and after reveals? The nostalgic artifacts? Or maybe it was just watching a group of people clearly passionate about their craft. Whatever it was, you weren't alone. Millions of viewers felt the same. And what happened next caught everyone off guard. Because this isn't just a where are they now story. This is about what happens when a hit show disappears, and whether its stars manage to rise again or quietly fade into TV history. Let's start with the man at the center of it all, Rick Dale. If there was one person who truly defined American Restoration, it was Rick Dale. With his rugged charisma, obsessive attention to detail, and decades of experience restoring vintage items, Rick wasn't just the star of the show, he was the heartbeat of it. For years, viewers watched him breathe new life into forgotten treasures, transforming rusted-out relics into showroom masterpieces. But after the surprise shakeup in Season 7, Rick was abruptly cut from the show. No explanation, no farewell, just gone. So, what happened after the cameras stopped rolling? Unlike many reality stars who vanish into obscurity, Rick Dale refused to slow down. After American Restoration, Rick returned to what he knew best, working with his hands. He refocused his efforts on Rick's Restorations, the Las Vegas-based shop that started it all. But this time, the business evolved. Instead of just vintage restorations, Rick shifted into custom fabrication, one-off furniture designs, and even large-scale industrial pieces. Rick also dived into tech. He started experimenting with CNC machines, laser cutting, and metal engraving. It wasn't just about restoring the past anymore. It was about pushing into the future while keeping that old-school craftsmanship alive. He even expanded into embroidery and design, creating a line of branded merchandise and personalized items for clients and fans alike. But not everything was smooth sailing. After his time on TV, Rick found himself facing criticism from a small group of online reviewers claiming unfinished projects and customer service issues. He addressed the concerns directly, explaining that the scale of his business had changed and that the shop was no longer open to the public the way it had been during the show's peak. In other words, he wasn't running a museum anymore. He was running a workshop for serious projects. Rick also began writing a book, reportedly focused on his life before, during, and after the show. From his humble beginnings as a self-taught restorer to being thrust into the limelight by History Channel producers, Rick's story is far from ordinary. The book is rumored to include behind-the-scenes insights into the TV world, what really went on during production, how the show affected his family, and what it felt like to be replaced without warning. Speaking of family, Rick has stayed deeply connected to his wife Kelly and son Tyler, both of whom were integral parts of the show and his business. Together, they've continued to appear at car shows and vintage expos, maintaining a strong presence in the restoration community. Today, Rick Dale may not be on television, but he's still in the spotlight, just in a different way. He's adapted, diversified, and built something sustainable without relying on Hollywood. And in a way, that's the most Rick Dale move possible. Less talk, more tools, and a relentless focus on building something real. Up next, let's take a look at someone who helped Rick behind the scenes and in front of the camera, his wife and business partner, Kelly Dale. Behind every successful operation, there's usually someone keeping the chaos under control, and on American Restoration, that someone was Kelly Dale. As Rick Dale's wife and business partner, Kelly wasn't just the calm in the storm. She was the one managing the storm itself. From scheduling restoration jobs to handling walk-in clients and keeping the shop organized, Kelly kept the wheels turning both on screen and off. But when the show was abruptly overhauled and the original cast was dropped, Kelly, too, vanished from viewers' screens. So where is she now? Kelly Dale didn't retreat from public life. Instead, she pivoted. With the same drive and focus that made her a standout on American Restoration, Kelly transitioned into an entirely new field, real estate. Today, she's a licensed realtor in Las Vegas, working with one of the city's top agencies. She's built a reputation for bringing the same attention to detail and customer focus she once used to manage restoration projects to helping people buy and sell homes. But Kelly hasn't completely walked away from her roots. She continues to make appearances at classic car shows, vintage expos, and community events, often alongside Rick. Fans who run into her still recognize her from TV, and she's always willing to chat about the show or share what the family is working on now. She also took on leadership roles in the community. Most notably, Kelly became a board member of the Las Vegas Metropolitan Police Department Foundation, where she helps preserve local history by supporting the LVMPD Museum. It's a role that blends her love for history with her passion for keeping the community informed and connected. And while Rick is focused on expanding their business's offerings behind the scenes, Kelly has grown her personal brand through social media. She shares glimpses into her daily life, her real estate ventures, and throwbacks to her days on the show. Her approachability and sense of humor still shine through, proof that she hasn't lost the personality fans loved on screen. Rumors even surfaced that Kelly was approached for other reality shows or spin-offs, though nothing has materialized publicly. It wouldn't be surprising. Her combination of business savvy, on-camera charisma, and strong work ethic makes her a natural fit for reality TV. Still, she's focused on building a stable, meaningful career beyond the entertainment industry. More than just a manager, Kelly was the emotional core of American Restoration. And in the years since, she's continued to prove that she can pivot, rebuild, and thrive, just like the antiques she once helped bring back to life. In a way, her journey mirrors the show's theme, honoring the past while embracing the future. Next, we check in on someone who practically grew up in the shop, and who since stepped out of his father's shadow. Let's talk about Tyler Dale. Growing up in the shadow of Rick Dale, Tyler Dale was never just the boss's son. He was a vital part of American Restoration from the beginning. With his signature mohawk, laid-back attitude, and evolving craftsmanship, Tyler became a fan favorite in his own right. Viewers watched him grow from a shop apprentice into a skilled restorer, handling metalwork, welding, and fabrication with increasing confidence. But when the original cast was let go, Tyler's journey, like the show itself, was cut short, or so it seemed. After the show's abrupt transition, Tyler took some time out of the spotlight, but he didn't stop working. Instead, he doubled down on the skills he'd spent years developing: welding, machining, woodworking. He immersed himself in mastering the full range of restoration trades. It wasn't about the cameras anymore. It was about the craft. Tyler eventually launched his own restoration projects, often sharing them on social media to an enthusiastic fan base. One of his standout personal builds was a 1965 Ford F-100 truck, which he fully restored from the frame up. Every nut and bolt was a testament to how far he'd come. This wasn't a kid learning the ropes anymore. This was a craftsman in his own right, with his own style and his own standards. He also made a few appearances on other restoration-themed series and YouTube collaborations, keeping his name alive in the world of automotive and antique work. These appearances prove that Tyler could stand on his own beyond his father's brand. While he hasn't launched a full-scale shop under his own name just yet, fans speculate that it's only a matter of time before Tyler's Restorations becomes its own thing. What sets Tyler apart is his blend of traditional skill and modern sensibility. While Rick often focused on historical accuracy, Tyler brings a more experimental edge, incorporating newer tools, alternative materials, and creative twists that make his projects feel current. He respects the past, but he's not afraid to add a little edge to it. Off camera, Tyler has also grown into a more grounded, introspective person. He's spoken openly in interviews about the pressure growing up on TV, the challenges of being seen only as Rick's son, and the importance of finding his own identity. That journey, from psychic to solo act, hasn't always been easy, but it's made his work stronger and his story more relatable. Today, Tyler continues to work on custom builds, restoration commissions, and personal projects. He's still in Las Vegas, still passionate about vintage machines, and still very much a part of the restoration community, just without the TV lights. His journey reminds fans that real craftsmanship doesn't end when the show does. It just gets quieter, more focused, and maybe even more meaningful. Next, we turn to one of the show's most unexpectedly popular cast members, someone who brought humor, chaos, and more than a few raised eyebrows. Let's check in on Brettley Otterman. If there was one cast member who never failed to stir things up on American Restoration, it was Brettley Otterman, known for his wild antics, offbeat humor, and let's be honest, less than stellar mechanical instincts. Brettley often played the comic relief, but behind the goofy persona was someone who understood the value of hustle. As Rick Dale's stepson, Brettley had a front-row seat to the inner workings of the restoration world. And after the show's original cast was let go, he took that knowledge and ran with it, in a direction no one quite expected. So, where did Brettley go after American Restoration? Turns out, he went into business for himself. But instead of trying to recreate the exact path of Rick's shop, Brettley carved out his own niche: sandblasting. He launched CleanWorks Blasting, a mobile media blasting service based in Las Vegas. It's a far cry from his early intern role on the show, but in many ways it's a perfect fit. Sandblasting is one of the grittiest, most labor-intensive parts of restoration, and Brettley leaned into it with full force. He built the business from the ground up, outfitting mobile rigs that could travel to client sites and handle everything from auto parts to industrial equipment. And he marketed it well. Social media gave fans of the show a new way to connect with him, and more importantly, see that he wasn't just a comic relief anymore. He was working hard, staying booked, and turning a profit. But Brettley didn't completely drop the personality that made him famous. His online presence still reflects that fun, chaotic energy fans loved on the show. He's quick with a joke, isn't afraid to post bloopers, and leans into the DIY vibe that made American Restoration so entertaining. That relatability has helped his business thrive, not just through bookings, but through brand loyalty. Interestingly, Brettley has also stayed connected with Rick and the Dale family. He occasionally collaborates with Rick's newer projects and pops up at restoration events and expos, where fans are always excited to see him. He's proof that even the comic relief can turn into a full-blown entrepreneur with the right grit and strategy. He's also hinted at possibly expanding his business, maybe even launching a YouTube channel or a restoration-focused series of his own. While nothing's confirmed yet, fans have been vocal about wanting more Brettley content. especially now that he's matured into a true tradesman. And if a comeback is in the works, he's got a built-in audience ready to watch. In the end, Brettley Otterman may have started out as a wild card, but he's turned that energy into a thriving, hands-on business that's all his own. No scripts, no cameras, just a sandblaster, a truck, and a whole lot of hustle. Next up, we explore how the shop itself fared after the cameras left. What happened to Rick's Restorations after the show went dark? For years, Rick's Restorations wasn't just a shop, it was a destination. Thanks to the massive success of American Restoration, the Las Vegas-based business became a tourist hotspot. Fans from around the world stopped by hoping to catch a glimpse of Rick, Tyler, or Kelly, or just to see the incredible vintage items being brought back to life. But once the original cast was unexpectedly cut and the show's format overhauled, everything changed. So what actually happened to Rick's Restorations after the cameras stopped rolling? The short answer: it survived, but it's no longer the shop fans remember. Once the show ended, Rick quietly scaled back the public-facing side of the business. The shop was no longer open for tours, and the constant foot traffic slowed. Instead of trying to maintain the pressure of running a live showroom while filming TV, Rick shifted his focus to the core of what got him started: high-quality, hands-on restoration work. Without the distractions, the business evolved from walk-in traffic to working by appointment only. Serving a more exclusive clientele, Rick began focusing on custom jobs, large commissions, and even corporate contracts. The flashy before and after restorations that made the show popular were still happening, but now, behind closed doors, there was also a shift in what the shop produced. It wasn't just vintage Coca-Cola machines or 1940s gas pumps anymore. Rick started experimenting with custom furniture, industrial art, and even engraved signage. By incorporating modern equipment like CNC machines and laser engravers, Rick blended old-school craftsmanship with new-age precision. The business was smaller, more agile, and no longer dependent on television fame. However, with less public access came some confusion. Online reviews from fans who visited after the show ended often expressed disappointment that the shop wasn't like it was on TV. Some even speculated the business had shut down entirely. In reality, Rick's Restorations never closed. It just adapted. The glitz was gone, but the grit remained. Rick and Kelly also made it clear in interviews and online posts that they were still fully active, just working behind the scenes. They launched an e-commerce site for merchandise, custom designs, and engraved goods. And while the flow of media attention has slowed, they remain respected figures in the restoration community. Rick's Restorations isn't chasing TV anymore. It's returned to its roots: craftsmanship, quality, and purpose. In some ways, the departure from reality television freed the business to grow in new directions. No pressure to entertain, no deadlines for producers, just tools, talent, and time. For fans still hoping to visit, the shop does occasionally open its doors for special events, car shows, or private walkthroughs, but it's no longer the open-door attraction it once was. Rick built something lasting, even if it looks different from what you remember. But what about the show itself? What happened when American Restoration came back with a brand new cast and totally different direction? That story is even messier. When History Channel decided to reboot American Restoration for Season 7, fans expected more of what they loved: Rick Dale, his family-run shop, the behind-the-scenes drama, and the magic of turning rust into gold. But that's not what they got. Instead, the network made a drastic move. They removed the entire original cast and restructured the show into a completely different format. For viewers, it wasn't just surprising, it was downright confusing. Gone with familiar faces, the Las Vegas setting, and the family dynamic. In their place, Season 7 introduced a rotating lineup of 5 different restoration shops across the country. Each episode jumped between these locations, showing a variety of projects and approaches. On paper, it sounded like a way to add diversity and broaden the show's appeal. But in practice, it lacked the heart and identity that made the original version a hit. The new format felt disconnected. With multiple shops, there was less time to build relationships with the restorers or follow a compelling story arc. Viewers didn't get to know the personalities behind the work, and without that emotional connection, the project started to feel more like mechanical walk-throughs than compelling transformations. It didn't help that fans were given no real closure about the original crew. One episode ended season 6, and then without warning, a completely new cast appeared. No tribute, no explanation, no chance for viewers to say goodbye. The sudden switch led to backlash online, with many fans voicing frustration on social media and review sites. Ratings quickly dropped. Even the production style changed. The reboot had a slicker, more polished look, but that came at the cost of authenticity. The charm of the original show was in its messiness, the arguments, the on-the-fly problem-solving, the personal stakes. Season 7 felt more like a documentary series than a character-driven reality show. Some fans describe it as cold and too corporate. The cast of Season 7, while talented, couldn't replicate the chemistry of Rick's team. There were some interesting builds and standout episodes, but the show never recovered its original energy. Without a clear central figure or consistent shop to anchor the stories, American Restoration lost what made it feel personal, and that's what kept people watching. After just one season, the reboot quietly faded away. No official cancellation announcement came, but no new episodes followed. It was clear the experiment hadn't worked. In hindsight, the network may have underestimated just how much the show's appeal relied on its original cast. Fans weren't just watching restorations. They were invested in Rick, Kelly, Tyler, and even Brettley. Removing them without warning wasn't just a creative choice. It was a mistake that cost the series its loyal following. But while the show stumbled, the people behind it continued to thrive in their own ways. And as time went on, something surprising started to happen. Fans began to rally, hoping for a comeback. That leads us to our final chapter. What are the chances of an American Restoration return? After the sudden shakeup and quiet cancellation of American Restoration, fans were left with one burning question. Could the show ever make a comeback? While there's been no official word from History Channel, there are some strong signs and growing demand that a revival might not be out of question. But if it ever did return, it wouldn't be the same. In fact, it might be better. First, the fan base hasn't gone anywhere. Years after the original cast was let go, online forums, comment sections, and YouTube channels are still buzzing with nostalgia and speculation. Rick Dale, in particular, continues to draw attention with every online appearance or interview. Even reruns of the original season still pull in viewers, proving that interest hasn't faded. It's just been waiting. Rick himself has hinted at the possibility of a return. While he's never outright confirmed any talks with networks, he's acknowledged fan requests and expressed gratitude for the continued support. In a few interviews and live streams, he's made statements like, "Never say never," when asked if he'd ever return to TV. That kind of open-endedness keeps the door slightly ajar. Then there's the power of digital platforms. If a full-blown cable reboot isn't in the cards, there's still the option of a streaming or YouTube-based revival. Shows like Iron Resurrection and Restoration Garage have proven there's still strong interest in hands-on, character-driven restoration content. A web series featuring Rick, Tyler, or even Brettley working on their own terms could gain traction fast, especially with an already loyal fan base ready to follow. There's also the behind-the-scenes evolution of the restoration scene itself. Since the original run of the show, the market has shifted. Viewers today want deeper dives into process, more authenticity, and less of the overproduced TV drama that dominated early reality shows. A stripped-down, raw version of American Restoration, with modern upgrades and real storytelling, could hit the sweet spot between nostalgia and something new. But if a comeback were to happen, it would need to fix what the reboot got wrong. That means bringing back the original team, or at least Rick and Tyler, and leaning into the relationships, tension, and humor that made the early seasons so binge-worthy. It would also mean acknowledging the past instead of ignoring it, giving fans a real sense of continuity rather than a jarring reset. For now, nothing's confirmed, but the pieces are all there. A cast still working in the industry, a fan base still engaged, and a media landscape more open than ever to revivals and reboots. Whether it happens through History Channel, a streaming platform, or an independent web series, American Restoration still has the potential to shine again. And if it does come back, one thing's for sure, fans will be ready, blowtorches and all. So what do you think? Would you want to see American Restoration come back with Rick and the crew, or are you more curious about where everyone is now? If you enjoyed this deep dive, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you never miss a story like this. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.